nice to see you. Can you come with me? And I said, I ain't going to be, putting the trunk in mine. He laughed. And we took a ride over to this certain level officer's house.
What time window are we in right now?
79.
Okay, so 79 is when this event that you're speaking of happened.
Basically,
okay,
in that area. I'm not going to give exact dates because I don't want to out people.
I just wanted the window.
And let me express this real clearly. If somebody finds out who these people are, they're dead.
Oh, I know that.
So are their families. They get to stand there and watch their families be tortured to death. And I'm not going to put anybody through that by outing them. So I'm going to say arbitrarily 79, give or take.
Okay, great.
In that process, he invited this officer invited me into his home. And I asked him what I was doing there because I had no idea. Now, this is after I'm out of the military. And the officer said, I got something I need you to read. And I said, why me? He said, because I feel I can trust you and I want your opinion. He put a stack of papers that's about 5 inches thick in a binder on the table.
5 inches thick?
Yeah, I don't know how many pages. I didn't bother. I didn't even get to read it all. I spent about 4 hours reading. And I went through about... give or take 3/4 of it.
Okay.
I didn't read the whole thing. I got tired of reading, and it was like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I had to have more than just the coffee he was offering, and preferably some kind of a soft place to lay down on. So I told him, I said, well, what is it? What kind of opinion do you want? He said, what do you think of it? I said, well, it says the plan. I said, where'd this come from? He wouldn't really answer. He said it had been in the works for quite a while. I said, give me a date. And he did. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I said, so in other words, certain people took issue with what was going on at the time, figured that the ship of state was going to head in the wrong direction, and decided to start putting this plan together so that you guys would have some form of guidance in terms of what the general outcomes would be. He said, exactly. I said, I like what I read.
You might have told this story a lot. You didn't say anything about what the document says. I'm assuming this is something about rescuing America from these Illuminati people?
Well, primarily it was generally at the beginning, the ship of state was screwing up badly.
Okay.
And to keep it from sinking, they actually implemented a general plan real quick. That was probably the first inch or so of the documentation. In such a manner that the people in the military could cause influence to happen to people outside the military who had the capability of changing some simple things.
Well, it must have been frustrating to see Watergate come and go, but then basically after a little slap on the wrist, it's all business as usual.
Well, you have to realize what was really going on. Tricky Dick was trying to become a dictator.
Sure.
Could not pull the power correctly, and so that's what happened, basically. Yeah, somebody got a little slap on the wrist, and nothing really came out of it. Now,
sure.
They did not want to out the fact that they had been involved. This is the other reason that you saw only a slap on the wrist, and you saw nobody in high office involved in it much, one way or the other. There was a couple of people that were used as scapegoats, but other than that, nobody of significance. That's exactly part of the plan.
Right.
Okay, however, they could put these people in a real sticky situation with a lot of pressure if at any time they decided they didn't want to comply with the next portion of the plan, which starts after about an inch of this. So you're going through these things one at a time. And as this is going, you're also increasing the scope of the plan. Now, the plan basically started with the idea of a military coup. I'm not going to lie to you. They were that fed up at that point, and they felt endangered enough at that point that they actually considered it, and each and every last person involved signed a pseudonym name. It's a code name. Each one of them's got one, that they disagreed with the idea. That is not the way to go because it disagrees with the basis or premise of posse comitatus, that the military does not have authority over the civilian population and are not to engage them. So there was enough old-timers that disagreed that convinced everybody that was not cool, so they decided no. And So over the years, this plan built up, and it got more convoluted. It got more complicated. It got.
And this is all in the 5-inch document you saw in '79.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in '79, they didn't really know which way things were going to go, because if you remember, from about 75 on, after the fall of Vietnam, there was kind of a dead space. Nobody did any real serious actions of any kind anywhere, not in politics, militarily, or anything. During that particular time is where the rest of the document came about. These people were working 24/7 or something in order to make sure that the plan encompassed everything they could think of that could possibly come up. Okay, it's been added to, I guarantee you that, but the dead zone lasted until about 85, 86, when things started happening again. People were taking definitive action. You had a lot of combinational political and military and financial things going on at that time.
Well, people must have realized, among other things, that the escalating war rhetoric between the U.S. and the Soviet Union could annihilate the planet. And you're not going to stand by and watch the planet be killed and not attempt to do something to stop it if it's within your means to do so.
Exactly. The threat of total annihilation was one that was unacceptable to any of the military powers, no matter what the politicians told them.
Right.
If the commander-in-chief during those times had stated quite clearly, we're going to start World War III, shoot your nukes, the military would have told them to go take a flying leap at a rolling donut. No, we ain't doing that. It's for that reason. To go along with this, okay, you got these periods of buildups. Now, I saw that document way back when. I thought that it probably was a dead duck. I can tell you right now, it's not only not a dead duck, but it's something that they've been following rather religiously. The thing lays out certain premise, certain areas of concern. Some of those things have changed, so this is why I say that the document itself has been added to and modified. But the basic premise of it is simply this. They also, just like me, were extraordinarily frustrated by freakazoids such as the Hare Krishnas or whomever was dancing in California at the time. They didn't want those people running the country. They didn't think they'd really do that great of a job.
I don't understand how Hare Krishnas could run the country.
Exactly. That's what they thought too, and that's how come they're not now.
Are they saying that these people were socially active and wanted to take over the government or something?
Well, they would have liked to have found somebody that would stand up as a group and actually do something in terms of freedom. And they've been trying ever since the Hare Krishnas and whomever, war protesters, you name it. Nobody as a group collectively, nationwide, would stand up and do anything. Same problem I've had, same problem everybody that I know has dealt in the freedom areas has had. Try and pry somebody off the couch. It ain't easy.
Right.
So they're kind of bumping along going, boy, I hope this, I hope that the end of the world don't come. I mean, what are we going to do? We don't have any civilian authority to do anything.
Well, and the amount of secrecy that would have to be observed in order to preserve this plan is vast. I mean, yes. One weak link in the chain and the whole damn load falls and breaks apart.
Well, they weren't so concerned with that, but they were concerned with the fact that there were certain code names in it that would out people that were seriously interested in implementing the plan.
Right.
The plan was simple. The military was willing to back, with civilian authority, a resurrection of what we started out with originally in terms of government. The idea that a politician has control over a battlefield is totally averse to the idea of even being on a battlefield. Now,
that's true.
My recommendation to them was to quietly sneak up, would take some Navy SEALs or somebody that's really good, and pick one of them politicians that's got a big mouth and snatch that dough. Put him on the battlefield. Not necessarily in danger, but getting close enough so that it becomes a personal deal. Then abscond with him again, put him back. And I'll guarantee you there'll be a whole bunch of attitude changes. Well, they wouldn't do it. That was my suggestion a long time ago. Anyway, so we're bumping along with this. I've tried everything I could. I've had a combination of contacts and whatnot. I've had a combination of political dealings in conjunction with a whole lot of people.
I'm sorry. Let me just take one moment here to try to track this in terms of timeline. You were presented.
You can't get an exact timeline because that will expose people.
I understand, but I just want to give a very vague overview. So you encountered this 5-inch monster document in 79.
Basically, in that area.
You mentioned that you still had contact with this insider network circa 86.
Yeah.
So these people stayed in some degree of contact with you and continued to spitball about what group you could actually contact that would be able to back you on this. And you kept coming up short because none of these groups were sufficient in terms of the motive and the intent to actually carry through with this plan.
Well, not only that, but you couldn't get, there was no national grouping of any kind. And you cannot take a group from one state and infuse it into another one from another state. All they want to do is argue about who's in charge or whatever. And it is a righteous mess trying to do so. And it doesn't matter what group it is. And believe me, I used to get lists. Here, try these guys. Here's some more. I must have gone through, I'd say a few thousand groups. Somebody have a website on the internet, I'd contact them. I tried everything that I could think of. I tried being nasty. I tried actually putting pictures of politicians out visiting whorehouses. You name it. I tried it, and I couldn't. I didn't even get the politician to get mad. I mean, he wouldn't address it because he didn't have to. That's just some idiot, and he probably made the picture up. So we're bumping along. I'm bumping along, and I'm beginning to get tired of it. And quite honestly, I was at the point of quitting. I just, I got my gun. Hopefully, I'm still able to shoot it if they decide to break down the front door. I was giving up. And lo and behold, along comes this crazy person in Pennsylvania who takes notes on a radio show. And this was back mid of last year, give or take. Actually, probably around May, June area, that I got on that radio show. These people took notes, and all of a sudden they did it. And then all of a sudden, they contact some of the people that I'm in contact with. I'm just kind of playing around, seeing what's out there. And they say, hey, we got a possible project. I said, what's that? They explained it to me. I said, no, wait a minute. I put that out over a radio show just not too long ago. And, well, somebody not only took notes, but they did it. I said, you're kidding me. You mean somebody got off the couch? Yes. Okay.
Wow.
So
after all those years, it's just incredible.
Well, so over the period of time, from about the 20th of February this year, since that date, we have had a free country. Now, the plan is this. The military will back, and believe me, you got to have the military involved. Whether you like it or not doesn't make a difference. Now, there's a difference. You do have good guys and bad guys no matter where you go. There are more good guys than there are bad guys in the military. I have found very few that are actually really evil, even in the bad guys. Some of them ain't too cool to be around, but most of them are pretty great people. I fully support, as a veteran, I fully support our troops, period. So does everybody in this movement.
I would say that people join the military to pledge their lives to defend and protect the Constitution and the people.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not out there to enhance the lifestyles and comfort of the rich and famous. Or those who don't wish to be famous, but who are oligarchs who basically are living off of everyone else.
Yes.
That's not what they did it for. And every